Hey everyone, Greg here. As you may know by now, I'm the co-founder and CEO of TripShock, an online reseller for water sports and tours. For the past 12 years, we've had the pleasure of working with hundreds of operators across the country, and we're looking to grow our community. It's free to sign up, and you only pay when we bring you confirmed bookings. We'll help you reach new customers, fill empty seats, and grow your business like so many have done with us over the years. Head over to partners.tripshock.com to learn more about our program, read testimonials, or speak directly with our supply team. As always, thank you for listening and enjoy the show.
They come to relax, enjoy the beach, have fun, and spend money. And that's where we come in. This is the Awkward Watersport Guys podcast. Find out tips on the best ways to market and operate a water sports business. If you're a water sports operator, you need to grow your brand, operate more safely, upgrade your operations, and of course, increase bookings. We're industry veterans, broadcasting from Destin, Florida. This is the Awkward Watersport Guys podcast, and this is Kevin O'Neill and Greg Fisher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 46 of the Awkward Watersports Guy podcast. Today we're going to be talking with Ian and Haley Blaise of Cruisin Tikis. We're going to learn a little bit about who they are, how they started Cruisin Tikis, how they get into water sports, a lot about their business and operations, and a couple other fun things. But before we get started, I wanted to just remind everybody that our water sport forum is live for registration, the Arrival Water Sports Forum, and we have more information. We were kind of teasing everybody the last few episodes of like who's going to be our roundtable host and what type of topics. So we're going to kind of dive in and tell you a little bit about what the event's going to be about. So first of all, the event is going to be taking place at the Cruisin Resort in Orlando from October 18th through the 22nd. Now, the Watersport Forum is an add-on to the Arrival Conference, and I'm not going to go too much about the Arrival Conference. We talked about it a lot on the show, but if you go to arrival.travel, you can kind of get an overlay of the entire event. But the Watersport Forum is something that is sponsored by the Awkward Watersport Guys and TripShock, and it's just a 4-hour event where we bring people together in these small roundtable sessions and talk about specific topics that have to do with water sports. And there's a whole slew of topics. And then we have roundtable hosts, which we call our experts, to kind of moderate the conversation. And these are folks that you might see in our Facebook group, people that have lots of experience in the industry. So we found some really, really great, really diverse group to be our roundtable host. So if you want to register, you go to arrival.travel, you register for the event, and then you're going to add on the Water Sport Forum, which is an additional $50. And it does go up if you wait for the registration. So I believe the first deadline is end of this month to sign up for the $50 price. After that, it's going to continue to go up. So definitely get on there. But some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about and some of our guests. So as you know, Kevin and I are going to be one of the roundtable hosts. We're also going to be doing a small presentation in the beginning, and we'll tell more about that a little bit later. Kevin, I'm going to start with you. Kevin's going to be doing the relationship between company culture and customer service and diversification and strategic pivots. And you can sign up for 2 roundtables. There's going to be 2 different sessions. There might be a lot of great topics that you want to do, but unfortunately, you're going to do 2 of them. But if you bring a few employees of yours, you can kind of divide and conquer and go to multiple ones and then share those ideas. I'm going to be doing adapting to water sport regulations and business branding. And then we have Jason Crotto from Horizon Revenue Management in Sebago, Key West. He's going to be doing revenue and yield management, product positioning, and distribution. Rachel, VP of Supply at TripShock, is going to be doing successful OTA partnerships and employee legal issues and other legal challenges. Rachel is also a lawyer, so that's kind of cool. Kevin Nobis from Bonita Jet Ski and Parasail. He'll be covering best wave runner maintenance practices, also employee team motivation and boosting sales. Our good friend Justin Buzzy from Get Up and Go Kayaking. He's going to be doing Instagram tips and tricks and also franchising or different growth methods. Chris Woodruff, Paddles by the Sea. He's going to be doing business and community partnership building and also managing multiple locations. Brian Hershey from Bear Like Fun is going to be doing direct relationships and with dealerships and equipment manufacturers and GPS technology, fleet tracking. Stephen Edwards of AMP Agency is going to be doing why and how to track everything, call tracking, conversion tracking, and also why you should be on TikTok. America McEnroth from Von Mac Agency. It's going to be doing using geotargeting and ad strategy and cultivating reviews and using them to increase sales. Kai Kepro from Paddle Pub is going to be doing prospecting new locations, analyzing new markets, and scaling a new business. And we might bring on a couple other roundtable hosts, but for now, that's our lineup. So a lot of really good topics to choose from. In fact, there's a lot of them that I want to be in, but I'm a roundtable host, so I'm going to have my employees go and check them out.
I was fucking sleeping. That was the worst pitch I've ever heard in my life, dude. Next time I'm going to do this shit. And I'll tell you, we're going to have fucking so many people signing up. I'm like, guys, this is the greatest of all roundtables. We should have somebody doing something on sales, man, like phone sales, like how to sell on phone. We should, man, maybe on year 2 or something like that.
Well, there is about 20, there's more than that. I think there's probably like 40 submissions of different topics, but like, how do you break down,
I honestly feel like, man, this is just something the industry has needed for so long. Like, obviously, like, I'm super passionate about my topic, but I think that this like really sums it up, that I feel like we actually have a culture that can be our own, and it's really fucking cool, man. Because and I've said it before, there's so many other horrific, boring, like come to the orthopedic conference or, the dental conference, and like, Jesus, I'd rather go on a fucking shotgun barrel tasting tour than fucking go to one of those things. You know what I mean? So to actually have a forum, to have a bunch of us that are getting in, and the people that are on the ground floor of this sort of like cultural movement. I don't want to sound like cheeky or anything like that, but that's what I feel like it is. And that, I think it's going to be fantastic. And I mean, that sort of really leads us into today's guest. Yeah. It's like, we talked a lot today about culture, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or did you have more to say about the event? I'm sorry. Did I cut that off too early?
I think I got it all. The last thing I was going to say was probably the only thing anyone's going to remember, and that's there's an open bar after the round table.
Oh. Listen, these are water sports guys. There will probably be an open bar before the fucking round table.
Yeah, there'll be drinks in the hand during the round table sessions. But no, there is an open bar after the round table session for an hour. We have cocktails. It's going to be fun.
I've been thinking about this a lot. I'm sorry. Okay. Sign up. Yeah, come. Sign, because this is before you tell them to sign up. What are we going to wear, dude? You can't wear like business casual. I've been thinking about this a lot. So I either have two options. Either like wild, crazy Hawaiian shirt, which I bought 4 of them on Amazon thinking about this, or a tuxedo, like a dinner tuxedo, like a real, like wildly loud tuxedo. What are you going to wear?
I was just going to wear a Trip Shock shirt. I mean,
no. We're got to be more fun than that, man. You got to put that away. The casual, business casual shoes, the fucking polo. Like I'm wearing our polo that Greg had made for us. I mean, no. We gotta get crazy, man. Can you wear like a captain's hat?
Okay, well, all right, that's fine. You are in charge of the wardrobe, okay? Yeah, I'll put you in charge of the wardrobe.
Can we wear onesies?
The Borat onesies? Yeah.
Like a little name tag on the fucking thing, like Greg. No, I'm telling you, we gotta have fun with this, dude. We have poppers and luau's. Like, we can't do it like this. Can't be straight guy bullshit, man. It's got to be fun, because our culture is the best culture, and we have to differentiate ourselves. Fucking from the cheese tour guys, man. There's plenty of cheese tour guys are gonna be wearing business casual. Water sport guys,
you're crazy.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm sorry.
Okay, so so today we have our interview with Ian and Haley Blaise of Cruisin Tikis, and it was really fun.
One of my favorite episodes by far.
Yeah, for sure. And they've been so busy. I think this is like the second time we had to reschedule, because this is a husband wife small business that they are doing so much for that company, and this is expected. I mean, we're trying to do interviews in the middle of summer. We understand, like, if one of our interviewees call and say, hey, I got an emergency, I got my engine needs fixed, we're not going to worry. We understand, like, this is
All right. I feel like we should like be a little transparent here because I do kind of feel bad about Steven on the last show. So we tried like, it was literally a last minute thing where we had to cancel the interview. So I was like, hold on. So me and Greg are just staring at each other via like fucking Zoom going like, what are we going to do? What are we going to talk about? And we're just like, normally our shows are born from a conversation that me and Greg will have during the week. And it's not anything. It's just as casual as our shows are. So we were just kind of like both put on the spot and we were sort of like, oh shit, what do we talk about? And then Greg's like, let's just rant about something. And I'm like, oh, I hate TikTok. And so I'm like, let's call Steve and Edwards from AMP Agency. He'll come on. So he came on and did the show and it was just so all over the place. And I was the one who said, let's cut it because I sounded like a fucking more of an unhinged lunatic than what I am. Like I wasn't ready to like be positive about TikTok. I don't really hate TikTok. So with just the show was just kind of bouncing all over the place. It had no continuity, had no form, and there wasn't
a lot of value. So. I mean, I was just mad about how TikTok and Instagram is turning to a soft porn lead to people's OnlyFans pages.
And I think we sounded like old men. And like you said,
we sounded like old men.
We weren't bringing value. Yeah, no value. So big thanks to Steve to come on the show. I didn't even talk to him about like, hey, we're not going to run that show. And he came on last second and rapped with us. But
we gotta give him a little plug. So Steve from AMP Agency.
That's right.
You get a free shout out. So.
No, he's fucking. They're awful. They're terrible. No, I'm just kidding. he does a bunch of shit for me. Like I said, all transparency. Like Steve is a marketer that works with the Destin team. So those guys do a great job, and they're always there when we need them. Even fucking last minute requests to come do our weird ass podcast show. But with that being said, we got a ton of great today's. I think Chris Woodruff asked he wanted to hear more operator stories, more of the like the NPR show, how I built this. There was that going on in this episode. We talked a little bit about everything. Ian Blaise is my kind of dude. He's a fucking captain. He's an unlimited master captain. To me, that's like the most, you go to Maritime Academy. Like I man crush on shit like that. I got nothing but respect for that because man, you got to be really smart to come out of that school with a degree. And, you're a captain for the Maritime Academy. So yeah, man, I love the show and I'm pretty excited to get into it. So, unless you got anything else to add, let's fucking get naked.
That's it.
I mean, let's get awkward. Let's get awkward. I'm sorry. I don't know what my deal with wanting to get naked today is. I'm not wearing any pants. Just so you know.
All right. We're going to the interview. Hey, everyone, and welcome back. We're here with Ian and Haley Blaise, owner-operators of Cruisin Tikis in Destin. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Hey, guys.
Oh, it's got a badass fucking last name to be in water sports, you know? Blaise. Blazing Tikis, man. Come on. Shit, fire. I would be running that all day long. Come to Blazing Tikis. Our shit's fire.
If we had that freedom, we would. Otherwise, no, we're a franchise of Cruisin Tikis International. Otherwise, yes, I agree. I'd run with that for sure. It's a yes. But,
before we get into the Cruisin Tikis conversation, I would like to know a little bit about how both got into water sports, and we will do ladies first. So, Haley, tell us how you got into water sports.
Oh, goodness. I kind of just followed the lead of my husband. So I had no actual background in water sports. I was a professional ballet dancer and still dabble in it and teach and whatnot, but kind of follow the lead of Ian.
Yeah, and I grew up on a boat, 30-foot sailboat in Miami, South Florida, my brother and I, and that's how I've been boating and sailing and anything to do with water since I can remember. And then we went to the academy up in Maine and came out with 500-ton mates, both of us, and then went offshore and yachting and pretty much every venue that is sailing ships or yachts or anything on the water for 15 or so years before my brother relocated to Key West, and then my wife and I went up to Seattle. We rekindled our relationship because we met way back in the day when we were kids, 16 and 17 at a summer program at Pacific Northwest Ballet, and my daughter.
Wait, how about some little background? What you were there working security? So we don't do video, but Ian looks like a type of guy that definitely like super into ballet. Like beard, bald head, presumably lots of tattoos, like man after my own heart, so when you look at him, you think fucking ballet,
Yeah, totally.
You were there building the cabins at the retreat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, ballet dancer? Are you fucking with me or
ballet? I was. Ballet ended up. My brother and I got into ballet because my old man. we went to that stage when we were kids. When you find a new word, you say it a lot. Well, one of them was "I bet you" or "I bet you won't." When we got into that whole betting thing. Well, my father had a hair up his ass one day and said, "All right, well, you don't understand the definition of betting because there's a wager, and if you lose it, you're." So yeah. Anyway, my brother went through this phase where we were, well, bet you won't, bet you won't, bet you won't. My old man was like, we were betting and we weren't paying up to any wagers because they were just kids. And so my old man was like, well, he said we're going to do ballet, and I said, no, I bet you. I said the only way we'll do it is if my dad was very similar in appearance as me. I said, the only way I'll do it is if you take class. And we went to that phase. I was like, surely he's never going to do it. It's a girl's thing. And sure enough, he did one class. And then he's like, all right, you're in. And a lot of boys get free scholarships a lot. So I was like, well, shit. And then it came time he's like, all right, well, we're going. I said, where are we going today, Dad? He goes, oh, no, we're going to ballet. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you lost the bet. You got to pay up. This is you paying up the bet. So then we got into it. And then slowly, it's very athletic, and so I enjoyed that portion of it. And then fast forward, I hit puberty, and then I get to dance with girls, and so I stayed for a long time.
the thing is that you're still like built like a ballet dancer. For no one, again, you can't see. He's like 0% body fat, like just
no.
Totally looks like that's. Listen, this is so bizarre. This is like an aside. But your brother Sean and his wife Mandy live in Key West, and so we're like in like Let's Talk Destin or one of these groups, and I can't remember what it was, but it was something. I responded to something about something, and I can't remember how it came up, but me and Mandy had all these similar friends, like close people that I know, not just like Facebook friends, but people I know very, very well in Key West. So in the thread, I'm like, hey, you live in Destin? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, I do too. And they like kind of like went back and forth. And she's like, yeah, we're on Cruisin Tikis. And I was like, Blaise, I'm like, I know that last name. So you guys got like, Ian must be related, because this was after we like had sort of met in the Zoom meetings. And then, yeah, like we shared all these, all these same people. I'm like, I have no idea how I don't like know you guys personally, because I lived in Key West for 10 years. Like I see the Atosha coin on your neck. Like,
right.
I mean, yeah, man.
That's crazy.
I'm like, well, what a fucking small world. And we've tried to like get together for dinner a couple times, and it just hasn't materialized because I live way the fuck out in the boonies, and they live in Destin. So, but yeah, we're gonna have to all like get together, and you guys have spent some time in Key West because there's a little bit of provenance with Cruisin Tikis in Destin, right?
Yes. Yeah. So that's how, on that note, that's awesome. It is a very small world, and it's surprising how many people we do know that in a roundabout way, like 2 or 3 friends removed. And obviously social media makes, all that connection and recognition possible. But yeah, so they moved to Key West. I went rekindled after, long story short, but back to the graduation, or I was dancing. I went and met my wife. We split for 10 years. We were doing a variety of things, sailing. I was sailing offshore, went to college, my brother and I, and so forth. And then came back. And as I was sailing, my wife found me on MySpace. If you remember where that is. And so once that hit, small world. My mother, turns out she was an hour, 2 miles away from where you were up there doing
less than, yeah. She was living like almost right down the street from where I was in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. So anyway, and then coincidentally, my mother, Haley reaches out to me on MySpace, says, hey, and then we decided to go rekindle it. But my mother also needed help moving. So I flew out there. The company paid for it. I went out there and rekindled, helped move my mother, and fast track. We moved back down to Florida where my brother was. And then fast forwarding a couple of years, my brother decided to relocate to Key West because we grew up in Miami. So we were down in Key West quite a bit in that whole area, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Key West. Anyway, he moved down to Miami. My wife and I moved up to the Northwest. Not to say it again, but fast forward another 5-6 years or something like that. my brother texted me 4 years ago now, what would be 4 years ago, and goes, "Hey, dude, check this out. This is what we should do." You know, he was running his own charter business down there in Key West, and he with Mandy and so forth, and historic tours down there. And anyway, it was a no-brainer, man. The tiki was beautifully attractive. It was gorgeous. I went down there, visited him, saw my family down there. My mother was living down there, and it was
he was running historic seaport tours.
Yeah, historic tours.
It was like a 6-pack, right? Like, and actually inside of he would go in the seaport there and run tours inside the actual seaport, right?
What do you mean the seaport? Like the basin? Or because he was really the only operation doing history tours of all the history that is in Key West, or that is Key West, except he wouldn't go to Dry Tortugas.
Like the Bight. I'm talking about like
the Bight. Yeah, exactly. Right there in front of schooners. Yep.
Yeah, I remember. That's crazy. That was your brother?
He has the black. Willard, old Navy launch. It's a big Navy launch, a beautiful looking boat with a plumb bow and inboard and all that. And he would run tours. I know that boat. They weren't 6-pack. They'd run. I think he had 29 passenger, 30 passenger, something like that. It wasn't a 6-pack because it's a 40-foot boat, 44 Willard he had. He reached out and he's like, "Hey, let's do this." And then I reached out to Greg Darby, who's Cruisin Tikis International in Fort Lauderdale, and he's a retired engineer and kind of stumbled on this whole thing himself, looking to build a little tiki hut for his retirement, have some cocktails at the end of his property in Fort Lauderdale. And he decided to splash. He lives on the New River in Fort Lauderdale. Anyway, he splashed on the back of his property and then put an outboard on it shortly after and took it down New River. New River has something very similar to Harbor Walk Village, where there's a lot of pedestrian, a lot of traffic action on Las Olas Boulevard that runs right by New River. Anyway, he went down that river and it's all history now. His phone started ringing. He decided to franchise it. Key West put it on the map, and we saw it in Key West and brought it here to Destin. And that's the short of it.
I mean, we've been working together for a couple years now, maybe 3 years.
Yes.
Everything kind of blurred with COVID, but it's one of the fastest growing activities on our site. I mean, you could probably have 10 tikis in Destin and fill them all up. I mean, there's a special draw to it because I think when people see it, it's not the same as your typical just like 6-pack private trip, right? It's themed, kind of has an island vibe to it. I think that's what is so attractive to customers. But what do you think is driving the interest in Cruisin Tikis?
I think it's, and Haley, correct me if I'm wrong or add something to it if you like, but I think it has a lot to do with, yes, it is a 6-pack. You get an intimate feeling. It's a bar on the water, low freeboard. You're kind of sitting on the back deck of everybody wants to go to the restaurants and sit outside if it's nice weather. So this brings that to that. But it also, and this is something I was thinking about the other day, the captain, and it coincided with COVID and CDC guidelines, but the captain sits in the middle as what would be a bartender, but he's an operator, he's a USCG licensed captain. He can interact with all of them. And I think besides that and what we offer and all the incidentals and what make the whole experience, I think that's a part of it. It's a big part of it versus having, all 6 passengers and you got to holler to reach the guy that's the furthest away if you want to have a conversation with him. Whereas you have all 6 around you, they all have 6 feet apart from each other, and it's a very intimate experience, and then you bring whatever you'd like to drink, and the theme is money. It's awesome.
How big is Cruisin Tikis now? How many locations? How many boats? Is it mainly in the southeast, or is it spreading out west? And
it's spreading quickly. We had a call the other day for a couple locations. Kentucky, Galveston, they're in Tampa, St. Pete. These are all Florida locations, but they're in Lake Havasu. They're in Lake Conroe, Texas, up north, Chicago. But they were in Buffalo, New York, and that was really, besides my brother telling me in Key West that these were rolling down there in Key West, and they sail out of the Bight, Garrison Bight, and they sail all the way around under the bridge and over to Mallory Square and then back. And I was like, if it's killing and doing that run here, I go look at Destin, between, the harbor and Crab Island, the attraction, with the limitations of speed and the necessity of sheltered waters. It was a perfect idea. It was a no-brainer. I got on board immediately and bought the first one, which we should have started with 2, but, it's hard to find slippage in Destin.
I got a question because I feel like it would be another hard thing to find are captains if you're trying to scale. So if you want to have a fleet of 10 tikis, how difficult is that for your larger your larger locations, if you have that, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you're probably like, man, we could probably have 20 Cruisin Tikis here as much as your phone rings. I wouldn't doubt it. I've seen your guys' marketing, but how hard is it to staff?
It's not too hard to staff. The limitation is we want to make sure that we're still an attractive experience, and I'd rather be sold out than have seats available. Because I think it means it maintains our desirability for one, but two, the real limitation is square footage, dockage. You can't hook up and get on a plane. So we cannot be far from our cruise is the harbor. If we were to do some, add more, we can't really be, we have our own limitations, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, and the main one is dockage. We have 4 slips that Claw's been great about. He widened our slips for us, and each one has its own gate, steps, and so forth. And the reality is we're 15 by 15 or 16 by 16. And so we need a little bit wider slip, but we don't need a super long. And so finding a 15-foot slip that's not 40-foot, 45 is not super easy. And he custom built our docks for us, so we're very happy where we are right now.
Yeah, dockage is like always the problem. It doesn't matter what you're running, man. Like tiki boats, parasail boats, rental boats. It's like they're not making any more waterfront real estate, and it's always the great problem, man.
I know. I just wish we could own some. Just wish we could own some.
Trust me, man. I know we have 17 pontoon boats and a dozen jet skis. So, like when we have some stuff going on right now. I'm not going to really go into. But like when you got to move that, you're just like, oh my god, you know what I mean? Where are you going to put?
Right.
End up being like 30 vessels, but that's always like anytime we have new operators on the show, that's always like, where do I go? Where do I, we got guys like renting jet skis and dropping them in the lake and stuff,
Right. And that's the other main motivation besides dockage is, if we have a great arrangement right now, there are no other options for us. So I don't want to be moving if God forbid, we lose our slips or, for anything where, moving 4 is enough. I don't know where we'd put them. I hope we never have to make that decision, but, moving more than 4, like you guys, these are 15, so they don't come out on a trailer easy. Once they're splashed, we haul them out dry dock, with a lift over at Brooks Bridge, but they can't come out of the water as easily as, say, a pontoon or a jet ski. And so that's another limitation, So when I go down there and do maintenance, I got to either do maintenance on the engine or I have to pull the engine off and service it and so forth.
This might be a stupid question, but can the captains actually serve beer and wine? Can they actually act as a bartender?
No, we don't allow that. It's BYOB. It's just for liability purposes. That's the only motivation behind that. But otherwise, yeah, they could. We get that question all the time. That and are we serving drinks at Crab Island? I'm like, no. Everything's BYOB and it's a charter boat.
I have a question for Haley, and you guys have phenomenal marketing, social media. I mean, the brand of Cruisin Tikis is very strong here, and it literally came out of nowhere in a few years. Having a product like this, and we've sold a lot of like themed products, themed boat tours in the past 10 years, and it's very difficult because no one's going to Google or no one's seeking out a tiki boat tour. At least maybe they are now because you guys done a good job branding, but before it wasn't like that. How do you create that? How do you attract that top of funnel traffic?
It's just the whole concept is just fun. It's a really unique way to get out onto the water. So it's a super easy sell, honestly, once people see like what we're doing, what it's about. And so like, especially with social media, we show pictures of people having fun or family vacations, of course, bachelorette parties, because those are like some of our biggest trips and girls trips and stuff like that. So it's actually really easy just because it is so much fun and it's so unique. And the brand is fun. It's just like, I have fun doing all the marketing and, sharing with everybody on social media, like the different types of trips that we do and the customers and weird stuff that happens out there. Stuff that should just stay on the tiki and maybe not even make it to social media. But, it's really not a hard sell.
I think another attraction to it too is selling individual seats versus requiring a private charter. It's a lot of when we came down. I remember the few times we came down here before we moved. It was just her and I, and we're walking around trying to get on the water. I don't want a whole pontoon boat. I was just me. I wanted one. I'll get a 6-pack and go get on the water. And there wasn't a lot of options for buying individual seats, and same thing for not just one person. It was just me, but two seats. And so that was a really strong, in the beginning, it was very helpful for us when we started, was the fact that we were selling individual seats and a couple could go out with a 2-person minimum. A couple could go out and have a good time and, a romantic evening, etc.
Is that ever a challenge, Ian, though? Because I do see that at times there's a lot of one seat left type situations, but as you kind of build that into your, your pro forma to kind of not be at a 100%. Yeah. Pretty much.
And then we do motivate people to try and reserve the whole vessel. If that's the case, then it's not much of a concern. But when an odd number comes on board, what we have noticed is Crab Island, especially after COVID, much more so than last year, is that after Crab Island's in such demand that there will be people, there'll be a couple that will split themselves up. As long as, and they'll go 1 and 1 because they'll know they'll be at Crab Island 15 minutes later and the Tikis will be right next to each other and they can party and have a good time out there. So that kind of fills those extra seats, but there's not much we can do about that. We don't really pursue trying to fill it. Majority of the time, even numbers come out, and this is what it is.
Yeah, and back to the marketing, I do notice that you guys you leverage distribution channels. Obviously, you work with TripShock. You're on TripAdvisor. You use some local OTAs.
They're on the Fair Harbor Distribution Network. I got them on my site. I'll be selling you guys too.
Do you feel like that was an important part of a branding play because of the reach that a lot of distributors have? Haley, yeah.
Yeah, so I think working with you guys, TripShock and TripAdvisor, especially as a new business here, a new entity, it definitely helped with the reach and, kind of just jump-starting us and then maintaining, especially during off seasons and all that. It's definitely helped, show our presence to the local areas or people that are coming to visit and plan their trips. It's definitely helped. And I've talked to other franchise locations that have maybe struggled a little bit. And I'm like, you guys got to do this, talk to TripShock or sign on with them so they can help boost your sales and get those seats sold. So it's definitely helped for us tremendously.
One of the things I'd like to do, speaking of that the back channels, the local networks, is I'd like to improve our backlinks. I've been reading a lot about SEO and optimization and so forth, and I was one of the main things they're talking about is if you can get these backlinks, like you can get other individual pages to like have links to other pages, it improves the rankings in Google, and it's something I'm trying to work on. But it's obviously I'm learning on the fly. So it's, what I'm talking about, Kevin?
Man, I probably know that a lot of your bookings are probably coming from OTAs, right? Like TripShock and Fair Harbor, and are you guys doing quite a bit of bookings through those marketplaces? Like
yeah,
TripAdvisor,
a good portion. In the beginning, it was the case. Not so much anymore now. We had a lot of direct bookings straight to the site because people know who we are now, and there are a lot of repeat clientele too, but they just come straight to the site now. And so I'd say roughly it would probably be no more than 50%. That's rough.
So the thing when you talk about like backlinking and SEO and that sort of stuff, like I know so I have pontoons, which I would consider much more of like a commodity here, but I don't do jet ski rentals. I do jet ski tours. But nobody's looking for jet ski tours. So when you're in that battle, when you get put into a different bucket, which is things to do. And I think this is how most people end up probably finding things like Cruisin Tikis, because you're in a classification all of itself. Like there's not going to be a huge search volume yet for Cruisin Tikis or tiki boat tours. With the way you guys are going, that more than likely, it's just like channel locks, right? They're not vice grips, they're channel locks. It's not tissue, it's Kleenex. So I think in that regard, you guys are not fighting an uphill battle. Like people will probably end up searching Cruisin Tikis rather than tiki boat charter, because it's the only game out there like it. So the backlinking and SEO thing it's going to be an uphill battle, just because you're gonna be fighting against miniature golf, jet ski cruises. It's like you're competing against everything there is to do in that market. And man, like backlinking and SEO is like, man, fucking put your wrenches down for like the next 5 years if you want to get in that, because that's a whole different kind of wrenching, man.
Oh, I know. It's overwhelming. I'm learning, and it's slow. It's a quagmire. I'm trudging through it, and I hear what you're saying.
I think more generalized searches that you can probably do well on, like boat tours. I mean, they're not going to be searched nearly as much as like dolphin cruises, but there's enough to where you can probably rock those.
And your Instagram game is fucking fantastic, man. Like every time I see your guys' Instagram posts, I'm always like, man, I'm not, and I love marketing too. And I'm so behind with that, man, because you guys just do a fantastic job of presenting the fun. Is that Mrs. Blaise there? Are you out there with the camera doing the photos and stuff?
I wish I could be out there every day with the camera, but man, I can never get out on the tikis. They're already sold out. Where do you guys get your content? Where you guys get all your great content? Actually, I'm sure you know Kaylee. Her and I work closely together.
Okay.
And, she runs a lot of the social media game here in Destin for various businesses. And so every single time she comes across something, she helps me out, sends it to me, because she follows every hashtag in the book. So, anything.
I should have known. We had her on the show not too long ago.
That's my pocket right there.
Yeah, because I couldn't be a dude. Because a guy going out there asking to take, hey, let me take a picture of you on the tiki boat. Take it easy,
but,
Chester.
We get so many.
I knew it had to be a girl.
So, but I get so many that just, people tagging us in the photos. So I stockpile content, and so that I can keep on, even in our off season, I can keep on rolling stuff out throughout the off season, which is pretty short.
Nice. And that's so great. I love it. I love seeing when people put the gas down, and that was the one thing that I always saw in this market that was really lacking. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I want to take a break like everybody else, but man, like when these motherfuckers go on break, man, they break. They are gone. Like Destin is closed down, man. Charles is just like, his website's just like closed for business. I'm like, fuck yeah. I wish I had that kind of money, man. Come back in June. Leave me alone. I'm fucking golfing.
Yeah, I wish too, man. We run it year round. We try and partake in a lot of the little events the Boathouse puts on, a lot of other local establishments, and Haley's a genius in terms of the marketing. She's the one that does all the cross promotions and all the interactions and introductions and so forth. And we have a tight circle that is very helpful. It's advantageous for a variety of reasons besides just good people.
It's also very important to stay committed to your community as well. And because I try to do a lot of outreach with like schools, donations and various other just community events. Like just the other day on Monday, we had this little girl who her family was gifted a trip to Destin from Make-A-Wish Foundation. And she just wanted to see Crab Island. She wanted to meet the Coconut Girls from Wild Destin. And I was like, well, it's a no-brainer. Obviously, she's going to have to arrive to Crab Island on a tiki boat. There's no other way that this girl, when she was born, she weighed in at 1 pound, ended up having cancer in both of her eyes and had to have one removed when she was 8 months old. So it's just like, it's certain things like that. It's like giving back to the community, but also with the tikis, like we are really making an impression on our customers and our passengers that leave them with memories for their entire life. Like this girl's family is going to remember this. And so I just think it's really important to stay committed to your community and do what you can to help out within that larger circle, I guess. So that's a really big part of the marketing as well.
So what's your guys' plans for the future? You say you have problems like dockage. Are you guys? And I mean, you don't have to like give any plans away for world domination or anything like that. But I mean, so obviously, Ian, you're wrenching. So Haley, you're doing the marketing. Ian, you're doing the day-to-day operation stuff. I'm assuming you don't drive any of the tikis unless somebody puts their pants on.
Yeah, I did. In the beginning, but no, my hands are full just maintaining the vessels, and general maintenance. Right. And a lot of it, I try to do a lot of preventive stuff, to make sure that nothing dies on me in the middle of the season, and then I'll tear it all apart in the winter. But that's pretty much what I do.
So is this like a lifestyle business for you guys? Like, are you going to continue running? You know, are you going to continue running offshore in the future, or do you guys want to like grow this? Like, what's the future look like for you guys?
Oh, we're very content. I'd like to get more slippage. I'd like to get a property in the harbor and maybe add a couple more. But I think we're good, man. I'm thrilled the fact that I have the opportunity now to retire from sailing offshore. It's much more rewarding to turn wrenches and sweat drip off from my, work for myself, drip off my brow, repeatedly at 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm the first one down there turning wrenches and stuff. And
every day.
Dude, if you find that rewarding, I got a whole bunch of boats and jet skis like in Fort Walton. You just come right on over there when you're done and just fucking be rewarded all day long.
I know.
Reward yourself.
I was splicing.
Treat yourself.
I know. I was splicing wires on a wiring harness the other day, and I was just thinking to myself, as I was doing it, how hot it was, beastly hot, but it's still, and I was the only person there. It was still peaceful for me versus going offshore. I was done. 20 years offshore, I was done. And then for me, in terms of the future, this is it. We're going to be here. We'll see if there's a little room for to add another one, but it's never going to be anything. It's not going to be any major takeover by any means. It's a support. It's to supplement my loss. I'm not working offshore anymore and just support my family. That's the extent of it.
That's awesome. You guys got kids?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
How many?
3 girls.
How many? Three girls.
Yes.
You're not going for a 4, Ian. You're not trying to get that boy. You're not that dude.
No, I mentioned it. No, we just got a little Doberman.
He just got a
that's
puppy.
enough.
Yeah.
Yep, that's enough. It's going through the house potty training thing plenty fast for me, and I was like, oh. I tried to push her into to doing it, but I was like, and then I got the dog, and I was like, man, I'm so glad this animal's growing fast and going to get house trained quickly versus 3 years of a crying infant and diapers and so forth. I'm like, oh, forget it, I'm done with it. And so I'm glad.
How old are you?
Huh?
How old are you?
40.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. 40s. I'm 42, and up until 5 months ago, I looked like I was 29 because we just had our third child, and I got a baby again, and I'm like, oh my god, what did I fucking do? Do not recommend children post 40, my man.
I just did the same. I had 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when we got that dog. I was like, oh my god, what did I do? I'm up every night. 3 or 4 times a night to try and to get that dog house trained. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad.
Well, you were offshore for a lot of the times where our children were in diapers.
I know. So that's the part, because it's something like I would like to have that kid, but I think it's not the cards.
Because I keep on showing up at the kennel with my infant boy, and they're like, we don't take children, man. What's wrong with you? And no, I mean, I'd like give him for adoption,
Right.
Here. Take him, take the kid. Maybe another bald guy with a beard will come in. He'll adopt him or something. He just got a dog. I would sell him on it. No, I don't blame you, dude.
We were talking about community, and I just wanted to bring up that you are on the Destin CRA committee, and you also are you sit on the Harbor Capacity Steering Committee. These are city committees, basically to better the harbor, aesthetics of the community, and how things function. And Ian is very involved, and I think that's great that water sport operators specifically are sitting on these boards. But Ian, what drove you to want to be part of these committees?
One, do my part, but two, I go to the city council meetings and some of these boards, and just seeing how substantial the impact that the water sport community is in Destin. I would like to have them ultimately have more representation. And I'm good friends with Kevin Schmidt, and he put me on the board. And given my background, I'm one of the I just, between being a business owner, a local, and also a master mariner, if you will. I feel like I can give him insight. I can, I understand what some of the issues are with the city and the county and NPS and all that. And there is compromise to be made, and I just want to help find it versus have people shoot something in the dark and not and have it be a sweeping legislation that just wipes everything out because they want to do something about it, but can't figure out how to negotiate and come to a compromise, because there is a compromise to be had. They just need guidance.
Well, it's good that your head's shaved, because then you only have your beard to pull your fucking hair out dealing with that. I don't know how you do
that's
it,
why
man.
That's why my beard's gray now.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it, man. Because it's like I go to those things and I want to commit fucking violence. You know what I mean? I stopped going to them because I'm just like. I'm like, this is fucking crazy, man. Are you people bananas? On one show I was like, man, I feel like I should have just opened up like a fucking Chinese rub and tug and sold kratom, you know, like totally acceptable, upstanding member of society. Would you rent jet skis? Get the fuck out of here, man. You
the rub and tug's
shit.
okay. The rub and tug's okay.
That's the fucking wrong with you, man. You guys are weird, man. You go to Key West and we're like beloved, you know what I mean?
Right.
Watersports guys, you know, Ed Smith is owns a trolley shit, you know, they love tourism. And here it's this bizarre fucking like, we hate tourists. Like, I'm like, I get it, the local hatred of tourist shit, but you know, to see it like at the top level of government is fucking really weird. Like, isn't that like the number one export here? Isn't tourism like, the 13% bed tax is enough? Fuck you guys and your boat rentals and evil ways.
The amount
I don't know how you do it.
The amount of money, you know, that is earned every year, you know, is ridiculous in terms of not recognizing that contribution to the local economy, you know, and so these, you know, they're suggesting proposals that would diminish the coffers like just drastically, you know, like why that doesn't make any sense. Find a solution that everyone can, you know, agree to, you know, in some form or fashion. And I don't know, you know, it's what
really,
it is.
I mean, God, dude, you run, I will back you. You need a ride to the meetings, I will come pick you up and drop you off. Like fucking whatever you want. Like I'll support you, dude. Have me go and sit in there.
I almost ran and got disqualified on not being able to open a campaign checking account in time. Because the way they did it was like a 3 days notification, and I went down to the harbor, and it took me 1 hour to get all the required signatures, you know, along the dock, along the harbor. That's how many people were down there, and make a living in some form or fashion via water sports. And I had it. I went to the county, and they're like, okay, well now you have the signatures. Now you got to go back to the bank and open the bank, and then come back to the county to give us a check from that particular bank. And I was like, man, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. What am I going to do? And they're like, oh. And so I went to 4 banks. Oh, you need an appointment. You need an appointment. You need an appointment. The very next day after I disqualified, I guess, or officially withdrew myself, 3 people were like, oh, you should have called me. I could have got you a meeting with the bank, and we could have got you a checking account. I'm like, well, now I don't. Now I know. So we'll see. A year and a half away.
What I understood, and I know little about this at all, thank God, and I will never know much more than what I know now because I hate politics. But, you know, like a couple guys were just sort of explaining to me that it really is like anything else. You have to like get in there and you have to cut your teeth and you have to go through your first shit and you have no idea what you're doing and you fuck it up. And, you know, and it takes a couple rows at it, man. So, I mean, God bless you, dude. I support you wholeheartedly, man. And no matter how many times you keep trying or hopefully you get in the first time or whatever you end up doing, man, like it goes without saying that you have our support and we'll rally the troops and do whatever we got to do, man, because one thing you're right about is that the jobs, the provenance, the pedigree, everything that comes with this entire industry is steeped in and what it is that you learned in school. And, you know, you obviously have, you didn't just go do the weekend master class or whatever, you know, you really went and did it. So first of all, I got a ton of respect for that. And second of all, that type of heritage, it does not just exist within the fishing community. You know, you have guys out there that are putting their ass on the line every single day. You know what I mean? Like you think a parasail captain's just driving around dragging a chute, like that motherfucker's putting in some hours behind those wheels. Those guys are really out there getting it done. You know, these sea blaster guys that are out there like back and forth, dodging storms, all this shit. Like there's a lot of stuff that gets passed down to dock hands and mates and careers get made starting off as dock hands and deck hands and first mates and six-pack captains. And it's like we have such a huge impact there where it's not just one fishing guide and maybe a mate or just one fishing guide and a center console. This is a whole industry that's lifting people up into the maritime industry. And man, we need guys like you on the forefront that are going to be a lot more articulate and probably less vitriolic than myself. So
I'm not, I wasn't, it is a sharp learning curve. I appreciate the compliment. I wasn't thrilled about politics. I made a joke about it initially, that I was going to do it. But the thing is like, if there's any chance that we can control the direction of our own future, then I'll do what I can. And yes, you're right. It's a sharp learning curve, and I have fucked it up. I'm scrambling, trying to play catch up because everybody up there's been up there for 8 years. And I'm like, this is my first year. I don't know nothing about, I had to read the Robert's rules of, it's like, I'm like, whoa, what did I sign up for? I thought we were doing like a meeting like this. And then they're like, I walked into the city and they're like, yeah, have a seat up there. I'm like, what? Whoa. Yeah, I was nervous. It was nervous. But
hey, the first time I had my foray into it, I thought when I was having a meeting like this too, when I first went to a council meeting, I thought it was going to be like, oh, sit around and like talk like normal people. And then all these people showed up with pitchforks and torches and they're like, burn Kevin, burn Kevin. I was like, what? What are you talking about? We hate water sports. I was like, oh shit, where's the back door? Let me get out of here. I have neck tattoos.
Yeah, I know. And then they say burn Kevin with I like to make a motion to burn Kevin. I'm like, what motion? I second that motion. What is that?
All right. Unanimous. That's on fire, for God's sake.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. No, my first gig was a gas jockey on the dock. That's how I got into it. I lived on the boat, but I pumped gas at a marina, and that was it. And then, deckhand or dockhand, then deckhand, and then, mate and so forth. So I did all that, and I get it. And you look, all it takes is one walk down the dock to see how many people, any ordinance or legislation would affect. And that's enough for me to try and do what I can.
Before we end the interview, I mean, knowing that you guys have these tikis, there's got to be some really good stories that happened on the tikis. Do you guys have a few?
Haley has them.
Okay.
Oh.
Please enlighten us.
Oh gosh. I mean, we've got great stories, just like when we had that.
We want horror, blood and guts.
We've got.
This goes silly.
There is this one time where we had a captain come back to the dock and there were a pair of underwear on the top of the thatch roof, and the group that was on there was a group of ladies that were 50 plus, and just looking at the captain like, how the fuck did that happen? And where did that happen? Did that happen as you were going down the harbor? I mean, we just have.
We had a bachelorette party the other day, and I was out on my boat at Crab Island, and they went out there and they did the 3-hour trip, and bachelorettes were throwing down, having a good time, and I'm sitting there and I'm just drinking, looking around, and the Tikis pick up shop and start heading back into town, and I'll be damned if I didn't see the bridesmaid on her hands in a handstand with her bride friend holding her feet on the Tiki. In the channel, I'm like, what? What?
Yeah, get it.
Tune it down. Get it vertical. Get it the other way.
Yeah, well,
I mean, we do
better than behind the helm with your captain, right?
And then I went down the other day and service. Exactly. I went down the other day and service the engines. And there's a bikini top on the top. I'm like, oh. What do we do? It's like that's what it is. They have a great time, but everybody enjoys themselves.
Man, I want to come work for you guys. You just made it sound so good, dude. I'm ready to pack in my shit and fucking just come work for you and ride tiki boats, man.
It's a good time.
Laws and naked girls on the boats. No, I couldn't. Sounds like a great fucking no. Well, hey, hats off to you guys and your business, man. It sounds like you guys got a great family and a great relationship, and you're working together, and you guys have created an awesome business and an awesome business model. And congratulations and hats off to you, man. Seriously.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
It's awesome.
I got one last question, because this is the first time we had a husband-wife team on the show. What's the secret to running a successful partnership with your spouse?
Can I answer that?
Go ahead, Haley.
Actually, Ian and I, we both have, like, he has really great strengths where I'm weak and vice versa. So we work really, really well together. Like, I am super type A, attention to detail. Ian's a very big dreamer. So, we work very well together, and I mean, we do things get a little bit heated occasionally, but we just work really well together. So it's
every department she's at in I don't want anything to do with. And then every partner she doesn't want anything to do with. And ultimately it just meshes. Like it's like that. And it actually, I didn't expect it. I didn't know it. And we just realized it. And my brother and Mandy are up here now, and they're down there the days, and they're doing their part. And it's for the four of us, it's a great time. It's very enjoyable.
Who's better at dealing with customer complaints?
Haley, for sure.
I love doing that. I had a really great one today where I had a woman call me and say that we needed to change all of our policies because she was late and we took off without her. We weren't going to refund her, but we had to change our policies because she was late and stuck in traffic. And
mind you, it was 3 days ago. Her reservation was 3 days ago. So she decided to call 3 days after. Like, what? How is that? Like, I don't get it.
I swear to God, I've got a big theory on all of this because I've been seeing this a lot too, man. We did a show last week, just about like cancellation policies and all sort of stuff. And I told Greg, I was just like, I was real monotone during the show. I could hear myself and I was just kind of like, yes. Like, dude, maybe we should have picked another topic because I'm ready to kill. I'm like you, dude. Like, I cannot handle. I tell them email. If it gets past my check-in person, email me because I'm probably going to tell you to just go fuck yourself, to be honest. But that's where I'm at. I had a Doc Hand call me today, guys. And he's in front of the fucking customer. So first of all, I'm like, are you standing next to the customer? And he's like, yeah. I was like, get the fuck away from him, man. What are you doing, dude? Don't call me in front of the customer because it's not going to end well for anybody right now. So you tell that motherfucker he can take Marcus' ass back up there and either get a fucking refund and he can go fuck himself or he can fucking have a discount. It's up to him. I saw it come back through like refund. I'm like, fucking salute, motherfucker. It's mid-July. I'll come down there and whoop your fucking ass, dude. I don't care. I got enough money this summer, dude. Fuck you, man. Because that's the way I handle it.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
I feel like you handle it like that too.
I had to hang up. The girls are always like, they're always the worst. I just feel like I can hear the big mopey eyes and the asking for special treatment in their voices, and they started getting short, and I was like, oh no. The wick went whoop right to the top, and I was like, done. I'm just gonna hang up before I say something bad.
You know what's funny? I don't hear a lot of customer complaints as much as I used to, because my team diffuses them. But the one customer complaint I remember was back, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, and it was a Cruisin Tiki where the lady wouldn't get on the boat because the guy had a Trump shirt on.
Oh my God. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was funny.
She wanted us to have a dress code for our customers.
Oh, a dress code.
And just not allow like anybody to wear whatever they wanted to, basically. We're like
like nothing below the neckline or something.
Happened.
Like an Amish person.
I gotta have your captains probably have a job as like psychiatrists because you could have different families on the trip, right? Let's say, or different couples.
Right.
So they gotta have that personality to bring people together, and man, that's. I'm sure
charm is a big part.
Charm, yeah. I'm about to say, I mean, it's not just hiring any six-pack captain. I mean, they have to have a certain personality because you are trying to bring people together, and that's the magic, though, right?
And it doesn't happen all the time, but like sometimes the majority of the part you got to be able to read the crowd and see if they want to hear your story or if they want to, because you do have some people that are there and they think you got a great story or they want to hear about the captain and you get the other people that leave me the fuck alone. And I've run trips where. A whole hour and a half cruise, I've said maybe 5 words after my safety speech. It's just like literally 3, and it's 3 couples, and they're doing their own thing, and like no interaction. Then you have other ones that are lifelong friends. Now they do a Destin thing because they met on the Tikis together, and they coordinate Destin. There was a family of 4 that came from Texas, and now they come every year because they met 2 people on the same Tiki the first year, and now they coordinate and they come every year to spend time in Destin again, relive the moment.
Hey, are you worried about your helm, Ian? Like when people get up like too close into your helm, like when you're like driving a boat and somebody like comes in like I was always weird about that, and I was the only captain. Yeah, like having a customer come into your like personal space while you're trying to drive the boat, and you're just
No, I don't know. Maybe it's my size. Yeah, maybe it's my size. I don't have that problem that much, but they are welcome in the helm, but I'll step out. We're not. Personal space.
There's a fishing captain in Destin. He's a party boat captain, and I went on the trip, and I was in the wheelhouse with them talking, and he doesn't let anyone in the wheelhouse. I mean, he'll flip out. So we're in the wheelhouse talking, and a tourist comes up on the second deck, and he opens the door, and this guy turns around and says, "Get the fuck out!" And I'm like. And you had to have seen the face of the guy. Like, he was stunned. It's a sliding glass door, right? And he opens the door. The captain tells him to get out, and he slowly closes it. And he has like this look on his face, like he saw a ghost. Like, it was hilarious. And then the captain just goes about telling me what he was telling me, like nothing ever happened. Like, he was like, very particular.
He's not a personnel kind of person. A PR person, public
I
relations.
used to have this thing with my mate where I'd be like, when I knew, like, I thought I had my shades on, but I'd be like, my head would be this way, but my eyes would be over here. So I'd be watching the customers or whatever. And I'd have some guy like trying to get my fucking attention. And I would just look over at my mate. I'd be like, fucking do something about this guy, man. He's about to walk up and I don't want him near me, dude. Just stop him, get in between us, just stop it. Right now, do something about it. I'll relay it to you. We can relay it back to each other. But don't get me wrong. I was a personal captain, but you drive a boat for so long with like tourists, man, especially parasailing. It's just like, fuck, dude, I've parasailed 130 people today. But I was going to say earlier, like, sometimes when you go from like being a captain and the deck commander and the fucking, like, because even the owner of the boat, as well as I do, at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. The owner can call you up and be like, I want you to fucking do this. And you're like, well, then come on and grab the wheel, dude. You know what I mean? Here you go. Like, a lot of captains will still hear him say, like, I'm fucking God. Like, when I'm on this boat, I'm the master and commander of this vessel. So I think, like, first of all, I love that there's another guy. I think you're the first, like, captain fucking / entrepreneur that's been on the show that's got a history of driving boats. So I don't know if you tell me if I'm wrong, but if like you ever feel that sort of bleeds into your personality as a business owner too, where you got guys like Greg that are like, like, let's have this normal conversation, as to where I'm like, I'll choke slam you. You know what I mean?
I do. I understand. And that's the thing. I don't have that. I enjoy the people somewhat. I'll run the trips here and there. But if I'm running the trip, they're gonna get my soul. Like, I'm gonna really interact with them. I cannot do that all day long, every day, and that's why my solution is removing myself, which is removing myself and running less trips, interacting with less people, so that I don't have to snap or get pushed to that threshold. And I've done the same thing, offshore with the ships. I've had 150 people on the ship, and people come up to the bridge, and it's like negative. Now, given that everybody's paid there, negative. Speak with him. That's your guy right there. I'll have him.
Ah, man, he's rocketed to my favorite guest. I love it. You're a man after my own heart, brother.
Well, I think we're about time. I think we're about time. But Ian, Haley, do you want to tell us a little bit how, if anyone has any questions about you or Cruisin Tikis or anything, how can they get in touch with you?
I mean, the easiest way is just to call us at our number or reach out on social media. I'm always in there answering all the DMs and all that. So just Cruisin Tikis Destin is the handle. So it's the easiest way. Yeah.
All right. And if you want to continue the conversation, you guys are in our Facebook group. I see you posting and commenting at times. So you can hit them up with questions in the Facebook group. And that's it. That's a wrap. So thanks for listening. And as always, keep it awkward.
You've been listening to the Awkward Watersport Guys podcast. If you're in the water sport industry, this is the podcast that brings the business perspective to parasailing, jet and ski boat rentals, sailing, snorkeling, and everything else. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. Be sure to sign up to our email list at watersportpodcast.com and subscribe in your favorite podcast app. We'll see you next time, and thanks for listening.